Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome. Tonight, we are at Chicagoland Speedway for race number 3 of 12, 127 laps around the Chicagoland Speedway, Joliet, Illinois. 1.5 miles around this speedway. Of course, it's not the classic 1.5 miler that we're used to with the Indy cars like Texas, but kind of close in the way that it races. We'll find out today. As I mentioned, 127 laps we'll be doing around here. My name is Trevor Greenfield. Been with you since season 11 for the US IndyCar League, and here we are. Definitely put some asphalt underneath our tires over the seasons, and it's a great time to be tuning in. If this is the first time that you have, definitely smash that subscribe button and like this video. You'll get lots more of this good stuff coming at you in the coming weeks. So we get set for qualifying for today's race, and our camera's pointed over at David Strid. So very shortly, we'll be having some cars coming out onto the track. In fact, here is Richard Kelbaugh. And today's race, of course, presented by Stick Quick. Stick Quick, the proud presenting sponsor of the US IndyCar League for many seasons in a row. And great to have them on board this year as well. We'll get a chance to talk about them a little bit later on, as we usually do during these races. But right now, Richard headed out there to see what he can do for today's race. See if he can continue his streak of good qualifying and good finishes here in the league, trying to get up there in the orders at the end. Get up there in the order at the end is always the key, right? So heading down to complete his first lap, Richard Kelbaugh makes it around turn 4 here at the facility that the IndyCars do not race at currently, but maybe someday they will make it back there. Goes straight to the top of the charts, of course, with the first time, but then pretty much immediately being eclipsed by some of the other drivers in the league who definitely know how to put their mark on it. Mauro Ramirez for Black Tiger Racing out there putting in his qualifying laps. Just heading through now the tri-oval area and past the checkered flag on his first lap. Now completing his second lap. So he'll go second fastest. Matty Simpson from Australia now putting in his fast laps. He'll move up to first fastest with his first qualifying lap. Will he be able to improve this time through? We'll watch some of this timing. Nope, in fact, that's going to do it for him, so he'll pull it in. Rick Lovison now goes second fastest. Great qualifying effort for him. Ryan Bowles, after winning the very first race of this season, back in the cockpit again today and looking to recapture some of that gold from that first race. We'll see where he can put his time. Meanwhile, Joe Brickey slotting into 5th place for Black Tiger Racing, and Dominic Hart putting in a great qualifying effort. They're finishing second. A couple of the big runners still yet to go. Graham Bunyan, Dan Ensch, David Strid still yet to put in a time. And just as we were focused on other cars, here's last week's winner, Jason Lowe, who had kind of a surprise win coming from 4th to 1st in a very quick period of time, but Jason Lowe taking that win there for Rescue Ranch last week, and that was a very exciting finish for those of you that didn't catch it. Now we'll see whether or not this man, 4-time consecutive champion Graham Bunyan, who is the defending champion, can he do it? Put in a pole position time here today. Well, I think he went a little bit slower on that first lap. He and David Strid, his teammate. But here it is, Sector 1, Graham Bunyan with that purple first sector, only to lose it by 1/1000th of a second to David Strid. Now Bunyan with the fastest second sector time. Will Strid be able to respond? Strid across the line, and he'll go second fastest. He took the Sector 1 fastest time, but was slower by just 9/1000ths of a second than his teammate Bunyan over that second sector. Exciting qualifying here at Chicagoland, but not a surprise to see the top results. Graham Bunyan, David Strid, and Jason Lowe, your top three. So while these drivers pull it in and get ready for today's action, we'll reset things here for you and get you all set to go. Walk you through the field and how they'll be starting for today's race. Actually, we kind of have to wait until the session goes official. We have about 15 seconds or so until it goes official, so we'll get a chance to talk about that in just a moment. Of course, last week's winner, as I mentioned, Jason Lowe returning to championship form. There on your screen, you see Graham Bunyan, also your pole sitter. Now, will Graham today have a chance to come back to his winning ways that he has been known for here in the US IndyCar League, frequently snatching those wins and showing up in that winner's column? That will be the question, because it's been 2 races this season and no wins for either David Strid or Graham Bunyan. But here we go. This is your final qualifying results and how they will start today. Graham Bunyan going to be alongside David Strid, Jason Lowe, Matty Simpson, Dominic Hart, Rick Lovison, Mauro Ramirez, Jimmy Drennan, Ryan Bowles, and Joe Brickey. That's your top 10. Will Stearns back in the field again this week, going to be starting just outside the top 10. And 11th, Dan Ensch, notable favorite in the field to end up in the top 5 potentially by the end. Keep your circle around that number 52. Fahim Rahman in the field this week as well. Great to see him back. Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. Stickwick there in 14th. Stefan Harding back in the field as well. Mike West, Manuel Gomez, Esteban, and Iñigo Mardones will round out the field. West, Esteban, and Mardones not taking times, but they play their games a little differently. those drivers there. A lot of times drivers do like to kind of just sit back and sit in the back, let kind of maybe some attrition, if there is going to be some, take place, and let it sort itself out for a little while. That seems good enough for most drivers that don't want to get swept up in all of that insanity that happens in those first couple of corners sometimes. So you can see it there. 18 cars on the grid today. Slowly, the car counts have been increasing here in the US IndyCar League, and that's exciting. Now, we had a couple of interesting announcements before today's race, one of them coming from Jason Lowe. As you know, as I've mentioned, last week's winner, of course. You saw that live here on VirtualRacing.Network. If you'd like, go back and check that out. Unfortunately, Lowe racing with virtual reality, and the strap on his car actually broke, on his headset actually broke, and now he has a temporary headset on, like a temporary strap for his headset, but you can see there he's dipped to the bottom of the screen, and so the bottom of the track, and is now running on the apron. So I'm not sure if he's just trying to, discretion is a better part of valor. Not really sure here, but again, kind of racing with a temporary strap and possibly already having issues with that. The other news coming about now, one of the other notes that we didn't talk about previously very much, but I did want to make mention, Richard Kelbaugh, the series steward, going to be stepping down here. In fact, officially, I believe he stepped down, but still there working in an advisory role. But Mauro Ramirez on your screen, one of the drivers that's come in recently to the league, taking over that role as series steward. And as the cars start to form up and get ready for that pace car to pull off, final announcement coming this week that the US IndyCar League will be changing its name at the end of the season to the International IndyCar League. And that's just a sign of how much this league has changed over the seasons and how much it really loves to welcome those international drivers. Speaking of which, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 right now for international drivers outside of the United States. It's Graham Bunyan who leads us to the green flag. David Strid in tow, and you can see just behind everybody continuing to form up and be side by side. Dominic Hart there in the green and white car, brand new livery for this week. Kind of an amalgam of different sponsors. Perhaps that's personal to Dominic. We'll have to find out. But either way, Matty Simpson in fourth. Maddie also racing with kind of a different livery in the factory setups. Livery there, I'm assuming he's part of their team as well. Don't quite have that information, but that is a great setup to see. Of course, got used to seeing him in the yellow submarine for a while. Here's Dominic Hart. We'll get that tower back up there. Sorry for that. There you go. But here's Dominic Hart moving up into second place. And that's really the question today. Everything looked very packy, very much like it was packing up ahead of time. I've raced here in these IndyCars on iRacing, and it is very packy, and usually whoever can hold the bottom line is the one that seems to be in control of the race. But that's where the control ends at this track. As you can see, we've got drivers on the outside looking for a way by, and we'll see whether or not they can find one. But so far, Strid, Bunyan, Hart, and Ramirez, with Matty Simpson now in fifth place. And dropping back a little bit, I think Bowles might have a look at him here just a moment. It's possible that he has recovered, and we've got some more action a little bit further back. There's Stefan Harding in the Harding Racing Machine trying to get around the outside, both of Rick Lovison and Will Stearns. Stearns now looks to the high side on Jimmy Drennan. Not finding any sort of traction out there in that high line and not getting the help that he would need to get by. So early tests to try to get by on that high line, not so far successful, but we will keep an eye on it as tires do degrade. So anytime we're pretty much at nighttime, tire degradation isn't usually much of a factor. Sometimes it can be if it's really hot, but right now 67 degrees on track with a 71% humidity. And is that right? I'm not sure if that's right. It says it's midnight. It says it's this information on our screen from SDK must not be accurate because it does not have the correct date on it, or at least it's not showing correctly. So I'll refrain from saying that one, but it does say that it's midnight, and that's a lot of fun. Who doesn't want to race at midnight? But there you go, US IndyCar League, having a lot of fun, throwing races in the middle of the night, because who needs to sell real tickets to people, right? There's David Strid out there in a very, very interesting machine himself. A very interesting paint job on that, the number 48. Of course, part of the Chip Ganassi stable, and Jimmy Johnson and his efforts in IndyCar, and now David Strid wearing that as a badge of honor, and certainly something that has been, very interesting to watch with Jimmy Johnson in his IndyCar. We're going to watch some of this battling that's going on a little bit further back here. It seems like nobody besides Will Stearns and Stefan Harding is really trying to make a bunch of passes right now, so we're just going to keep watching their battles and see what happens. But here comes Will Stearns, the inside of Joe Brickey, looking to make that move. I was going to say that these drivers, just like the real-life drivers here at Chicagoland, really do actually have to be patient and wait for it to come to them. And that was part of the conversation there about the weather is, sometimes you get factors that do work in your advantage. As we see just ahead, Joe Brickey looking on the outside of Ryan Bowles, perhaps trying to creep up into that sixth position. But you do have to be patient. Sometimes you're going forward, sometimes you're going backwards. And you pretty much just have to wait it out, see what the car is going to do, see what the other drivers are going to do. And in a race like this, where it's going to pack up and you've got a lot of close racing, sometimes it's just about hanging on to that car. As we see Joe Brickey making it 3 wide around the outside. Stefan Harding in tow there, now 2 wide as they come through turn 1. Brickey going to tuck back behind Matty Simpson in that red and white machine for factory. Continue to watch this battle unfold. Looks quite a bit different from on board. You're watching it from outside, it looks like a bunch of bees swarming around in your yard. But from on board, it's quite the different story, as these drivers are so close to one another. You can see they're 220 miles per hour around this facility, and it's wide open now. It may not be wide open the entire race, depending on what the tires do. And so here comes Bricky, now up 7 positions. We'll get this battle box up here so you can really see how this top drivers are doing. But Bricky up 7 spots, Dominic Hart up a spot, Ramirez up a couple of spots. You see Stefan Harding also getting up there in the field. Getting a little blank out from Joe Bricky, so our cameras jump off of him. But there you go. You can see Joe is getting it done and trying to look at podium positions. Now, who is that to his left? It is 4-time consecutive champion and current defending champion Graham Bunyan, who slipped back a spot, and now David Strid has moved up to that point position from the very get-go. And now they're packing up side by side. Joe Bricky really getting something done there. As we saw some movement further back, it looked like Matty Simpson having to take some evasive action. And we've been enjoying this battle happening now for third place between Dominic Hart, Joe Bricky, and now Will Stearns up into this mix, along with Stefan Harding. We saw Mauro Ramirez, Matty Simpson, Ryan Bowles all kind of fall back from this group. So Mauro starting to fall back through the order here. Now back to where he was originally in 7th, but just ahead, it is Stearns and Hart side by side. Stearns now just barely falling into that position, but Stearns up 6 spots today. I think we know what Will Stearns showed up for today's race, and he's got a bit between his teeth. He may have something to say about this podium before it's all over today, and that's a great sign for all those Will Stearns fans out there. He's many times shown those flashes of speed and ability to get up there, hang with the big dogs at the front. Perhaps today is Stearns' day to say hello to podiums and interviews here on VirtualRacing.Network. You can take a look at where he's come from. I mean, he's brought that gap down several tenths of a second in just a span of a few laps, and so he's navigating that draft effectively and able to really slice and dice his way up through the field. Now, again, we start taking a look as this continues to run on green. Do we have any drivers that are not covered in this field? And you can see it is still quite packed up here. I think our first driver to kind of slip a little bit off the back is Rick Lovison, though he's not too far that he can't catch that draft. We also have Manuel Gomez Esteban here just behind, racing for Super Mongo and Team Mazinger. So then also Jason Lowe did recover. He did not lose a lap. Iñigo Mardones just behind, and right now, the only driver not up here in the front is Jimmy Drennan. And I don't really have... Maybe we can go back and take a look at this note here and see whether or not this is an explanation for why Jimmy is so far off of the pace. Got up behind Ryan Bowles. This was a few laps ago. Kind of lost that position, and then he has since tumbled back. So we're just watching this replay to see if we can tell what in fact affected him. And there's a disconnect. So, oh, and then when he rejoins, he comes out right underneath Will Stearns. And so he decides he's going to pull it down. Wow, that was a blink out for several seconds. Though, unfortunately, it's still one of the things. We've got too wide, racing too deep here in the fourth and fifth row back, but it's still hot and heavy in the middle of this pack. Stefan Harding and Dominic Hart there, the green and white for Hart and blue and white for Harding, side by side through turn 4 once again. Harding emerges on top. We're now looking at Bowles with Ramirez in tow. And then just behind that, Simpson. But as I said, just 2 seconds separating this entire field from 1st to 17th. And that is just something else to be there at 27 laps into a race. So great to have you with us here at VirtualRacing.Network. If you're there in our chat room, please stop in, say hello. We already had Dominic Hart stop in, say hello. Also, Aussie Racer there you see commenting in our YouTube chat. That's actually Graham Bunyan. These drivers, so cool to stop in for just a minute and say hello before they go out there and do battle for the day. Some of them even keeping the race on while they're racing, keeping this broadcast on while they're racing, and we greatly appreciate that. But please concentrate on what's most important. My goodness, I've had some commentator curses before, and I don't want to see it happen again. So Will Stearns now up into third on the inside of Joe Brickey. Will Stearns sets his sights now for the back of Graham Bunyan, and these two have tangled in the past. So we look to see whether today we are going to have an amazing battle on our hands or whether we'll have fireworks in Chicago. That is the question. In the meantime, Joe Brickey says, hey, I ain't done with this third place. It isn't going to be so easy to take down a black tiger. Joe, I think at this point, though, says, well, Will's got that inside line. He's got the, as my commentator, who's doing a lot of stuff over on Raceverse and part of Team Raceverse, Gary Godso would say, it's the IRL line. And indeed, it is the IRL line for those of you that were a fan of the IRL back in the day. High downforce. And you just kind of keep that thing on that white line down at the bottom. And Chicagoland actually... Wow, and there you can see there's a big problem. It's David Strid. Just as we were on board, I don't know what happened. I think he was trying to slow to get into the pits. And perhaps Stearns got into the back of him, not knowing he was getting into the pits. There's Stearns trying to get down on pit lane, but I think Stearns, if anybody, was just... And so this will bring out the caution. We will back it up and take a look at what happened. We were just watching out of the back of Graham Bunyan's machine when it looked very much like David Strid was coming into pit, and well, we'll jump back and see if we can figure this one out. So let's see if we can go from maybe the blimp camera. We'll just take a look at this from overhead, see if we can figure out what happened. So here's David Strid in the front, and he does appear to be slowing down, and I just don't think Will Stearns either got that message. He may have called it out over chat. He may have called it out, voice chat, text chat in the race. It's possible that Will missed it because it was so quick. Well, we'll take a look at it one more time right after we watch these pit stops from Graham Bunyan and the rest. Bunyan down and away. Looks like Bowles will get out second. Stefan Harding with a great pit stop. And he'll come out third of this group. That's pretty amazing. Will Stearns, after taking his pit stop, will actually be shown in 8th place, coming out, I think, behind as Stefan Harding comes out. So that is something else. Stefan Harding with a fantastic stop. Now, let's see. Time. 8.60 to 8.38, 8.35. So really their pit stop times were very, very close. You could actually put that up here, pit stop time. There we go. And we'll see that as they come around. And now this time by Fahim Rahman, Jason Lowe, and Iñigo Mardones stopping into the pits. So we will see all of this kind of change around, and you'll be able to see their pit stop times effectively and compare them. But really, Stefan Harding had about the same kind of pit stop time as the other drivers in the field. And so it wasn't that he necessarily undercut by doing like a short fill or not taking tires or something like that. It just appears as though he got in and away much quicker. And so great stop there for Stefan Harding, and he'll come out in third place. So while we're at commercial, though, we're going to go ahead and take away this graphic on the screen so that we can show you where the points are at. As the lights are off already on the pace car, so we'll only have a chance to show this for just a minute, and we'll get back to your live coverage here, but we want to make sure that you got all the information. There's Jason Lowe, who leads the points after winning last week. Will he after today, with all of the issues that are going on? We don't know. Ryan Bowles with the win the first week, now just back by 10 points. Then David Zaleski in third, Richard Kelbaugh shown in fourth place, and Dan Ensch in fifth. So good stuff for these drivers. And you see our defending champion, Graham Bunyan, back there in the points in seventh. Well, if today he has a good race, this could completely reset those standings back into Graham's favor. He's out there in front. Will his teammate, David Strid, be able to recover and get back out there in front? I don't know. He is shown on the same lap, and so nobody seemed to really lose a lap on that one. In fact, we've still got everybody still on the lead lap. That's a great thing here to be 37 laps into a race. Everybody's still on the lead lap. Everybody's still in this race. All 18 cars out there. We've got Ryan Bowles now starting to show his nose on the outside of Graham Bunyan. He looks down low. Bunyan flashes up a little bit, then brings it back down to that white line. Now Bowles going to try to attempt to do the difficult task of trying to pass on the outside. And as we have seen, that is an easier thing to say than do. So we'll continue to watch Bowles. We'll take a look a little bit further back. There's Matty Simpson, who's worked his way back to third. Now looking at that battle in front between Bowles and Bunyan and trying to decide which way to go. Who do you want to follow? At 37 laps in, it's a tough question. And then you got to keep this guy behind it, Bay. That's Dominic Hart. He's won here in the series. He's been able to show his speed many times. I don't think there's any drivers in this field who would be surprised to see Dominic Hart up there in the top three or possibly taking a victory here today. So trying to keep someone like that at bay, once again, another easier to say than it is to do thing. Here's Dominic Hart, up a spot so far. You can see it. And Stefan Harding, who had such a great pit stop, he's right there in that top 5 position, up 10 spots today, and looking for more for sure. As they begin to stack up, now 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, it looks like another restart, but it isn't. As you see Bowles now under attack from behind. Here comes Matty Simpson on the low side. Stefan Harding kind of tries to make it 3 wide there. By Hart almost skipped a beat. But Stefan Harding thinks better of it. Matty Simpson just up in front, now trying to protect the flank of Graham Bunyan. Simpson goes to the high side, leaving the door open for Bowles to take that position. Now Bowles coming forward. Once again, don't forget, Bowles in this championship hunt, he's had the speed to do it in each of the previous seasons. He's had flashes of brilliance and times where we thought he was going to be up there on the podium and then would have an incident that would take him out. But so far this season, having a great run, and certainly if the Mrs. Bowles is out there listening, Ryan's very careful to say it each time. Thank you for giving him the time to get out here and chase these IndyCar wins and championships. This is what it's all about. Bowles right now in second place in the number 25 and really starting to think about, I think, possibly the possibility of being in the podium position or being in victory circle today. But certainly, again, we're 3 races in, and if he can continue this streak of great wins, I mean, he's got to be looked at as one of the championship favorites, even though that has not been one of his suits in the past several seasons. So we go back, Hart and Harding still battling there for that 4th spot. Side by side it is, and side by side for the lead, and side by side for 5th, and side by side for 8th. It's side by side everywhere here at Chicagoland. 46 laps we are working on here out of 127, so not quite halfway. But you blink here and that 20 laps will be done and we will be halfway. So you got to start thinking about your next pit stop if you're these drivers. As intense as it is to be here in rush hour traffic in Chicago, you got to be thinking about, when do I want to make that next pit stop? As we are 3 wide here on the backstretch, Matty Simpson now drifting up in front of Stefan Harding. And now things starting to really shake up here in the mid-pack. We've got some drivers coming forward that have been holding back a little bit. In fact, there's Jimmy Drennan. We saw it. He was, in fact, a reason why earlier we went back and looked at that replay. And there's an incident further back. It's Harding, Dan Ensch, and several cars involved. That's Fahim Rahman, Manuel Gomez, Esteban, Rick Lovison, and Jason Lowe, your points leader, caught up in this mess. Now, fortunately, this will bring out this caution flag and will allow all of these drivers, because of where they were at on the track, to pretty much come in and get their cars fixed quickly. Unfortunately, for any of them that have already taken repairs, this might take some time to pull off. And with that damage on Lowe's car, I'm not sure. Looks like the fast repair worked pretty quick. So he is down and away, and so able to take the fast repair and get away without losing a lap. In the meantime, getting everybody else back into those pits. Just like I was saying earlier, you know, here you're going to be thinking about pit stops just as much as any other track, but from a different standpoint here, because of the fact that you can't really get around other drivers so easily. That is the reason why you would want to try to undercut or find some strategy that possibly will keep you out there longer or in some way get you a victory and possibly get you up there in that championship. So, as you probably can tell, it's our second caution of the day. Do you know what that means? It's time to find out about our presenting sponsor for today. And for those of you, it's your first time, boy, are you in for a treat, because today we are going to talk about this legendary, famous, but you don't know it yet, device that should be in your house right now, but isn't. And you're saying, okay, Trevor, tell me what it is. Well, you're seeing it there on your screen on the right-hand side. Now, maybe hard to see because it does what it does, but it doesn't have to brag about it. You know, it's cool like that. You can put your spatulas into it, but you could also put a pen or maybe your vape or perhaps a gardening tool into it. How is this possible? I mean, can it stretch? Are there all different sizes of these things? What do they do? Well, it is made of silicone. So yes, you can put whatever you want inside of it, but here comes the magic part. You can then take any one of these pens, pencils that have this silicone ring on it and stick it anywhere you want. There it is right there on your screen. A flashlight stuck right to a shelf, a metal shelf, so that it's handy. It's right where you want it. If you use a vape a lot, you need your vape juices, you need your vape cartridges, your everything all in one place, right there next to your desk. Here's your toolbox. Remember how, look at this. There's the lid. Why are you not using the lid for storage and for organization? The Stick Quick makes all of these dreams possible and so much more. Head over to stickquick.com today, and you will find that there are just 6 that come in a package, and they come in several different colors, so you can get your favorite color: red, blue, green. There they are on the screen. Like I said, 6 come to a package. You'll be organizing things and putting them up in different places, not just on steel items either, but also it comes with these little pads that you can stick anywhere to any surface. Get yours today. Head over to stickquick.com and tell them that the US IndyCar League is where you saw them, and they will be very glad to know that. In the meantime, we are green here at Chicagoland and back underway, as we could see David Strid back out into the lead, as he chose not to pit under this caution since he took repairs and pitted under the previous caution, so that will put him a little off strategy from drivers like Graham Bunyan and Dominic Hart. Now Hart immediately onto the back of Strid. Now, I don't think, as we see Hart now getting kind of backed up by Strid, and now we're watching Jimmy Drennan on the outside making his move. So move Jimmy Drennan now up into that podium position here at Chicago. Now taking a look around the outside, possibly, of David Strid. So David Strid and Graham Bunyan at the front of this field, with Jimmy Drennan in third. And so let's check in and see, as we look a little bit further back now, we've got Dominic Hart, Ryan Bowles, and Matty Simpson all up there in the top 6. Just behind Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. Stickquick, hanging in and showing that he belongs in this top 5 in the championship that he is currently sitting in. Matty Simpson, there in 7th place. He's coming forward again. Joe Brickey also trying to get forward, but I think a lot of drivers want to know about Jason Lowe. Where's he at? Championship leader, last week's winner. Well, he has recovered. He got that fast repair in the 004 machine. It's currently in 8th place. So he is back on his way towards the front. And I tell you what, Lowe was just kind of an innocent bystander in that incident that happened as Strid and Stearns were coming to pit road. And isn't it great, though, that Strid and Stearns were able to recover? In fact, all of these drivers able to recover. Rick Lovison also back in the mix there. So isn't it great that all of these drivers were, in fact, able to recover, get everything under control there, not lose a lap, and be right back in this fight? Part of the beauty of iRacing and being able to get these cars fixed so quick digitally and not have to wait. Unfortunately, we are seeing that Fahim Rahman and Richard Kelbaugh is now in the pits, and I don't have a reason why that is. Let's see if we can go back and see. Watching the wrong car. Oh, there is Kelbaugh in the wall. We'll go back one lap here, see if we can tell where this happened. This was just one lap earlier to that, on lap 57. Kelbaugh kind of had some arrow push drifting up the track. And looks like he didn't make... Oh, and there Stearns just happens to clip him. I just don't think he was expecting... Oh, and that's too bad also for Iñigo Mardones, who clipped Richard Kelbaugh there as Kelbaugh was suffering with damage and trying to get low onto the track. So go back to the live picture, and unfortunately, the Kelbaugh machine sits on pit road. In the meantime, back up at the front, it is Graham Bunyan, David Strid, Ryan Bowles, Jimmy Drennan, and Matty Simpson, your top 5. Just outside of that top 5, Dominic Hart, Joe Brickey, Jason Lowe, Dan Ensch, and Mauro Ramirez. As they continue under the lights here at Chicagoland, we are just approaching halfway. You see some of these drivers in the mid-pack saying they're not satisfied with where they're at, and they're trying to think about the last half of this race. Where do they want to be positioned? In the middle, at the front, at the back? Do you like running the high side? Do you like running that low line? How are you going to get to that, to where you want to be for the last few laps of this race? That is already in the minds of these drivers. And of course, we did have a little difference in pit stop strategy. For example, David Strid coming in on lap 32 for his incident, and many of these other drivers coming in on lap 49. So there are some different pit and fuel strategies that are happening. Will we stay green the entire rest of the way, or will we have another yellow? That's a question. We look like some drivers may be trying to make a yellow, but getting very close here. A little chippy in the mid-pack, but there's Matty Simpson, and now Stefan Harding down on the low side. And Harding is actually 2 laps down now, so that is not for position. And he will probably not be fighting too hard to get any positions, because there has been some discussion in the league from the series steward previously, and of course now that responsibility falling on the hands of Mauro Ramirez, but previously discussing lap cars in the field, and if you're more than 1 lap down, just ensuring that you're not fighting with the leaders or slowing them up in any way. That has been kind of the decision that has been made here in the league. So whenever we see a driver that's up there in the front and they're only a lap down, of course, they have the right to fight for that position. But at some point, it's in a matter of just trying to keep the race clean and not have the leaders get taken out. That decision gets made. So we'll keep an eye on that that situation. However, in the meantime, we are watching Jimmy Drennan and Matty Simpson, Joe Brickey fight over that 4th spot in the top 5 here to see who's going to be in position for podium at the end. As you see, my goodness, he's fighting hard to get that lap back. It is Stefan Harding there in that blue and white machine. And that's just part of it. If you've got a faster car than the guys in front, it's not like you can say, well, I'm not faster, so I don't want to pass. You know, your car seems to want to just suck up towards the cars in front and make a pass. So if you're Stefan Harding, you literally have to take your foot out of the throttle to try to avoid racing the leaders. And so what Stefan would be looking for right now would be a caution, because the rest of the drivers would probably come into pit and then he would get a wave around. But short of a caution, he's not probably going to be able to pass everybody and get a or multiple laps back. So it's one of those difficult things if you're trapped like this, and like Stefan Harding is there. It's a difficult thing to be able to try to get those couple of laps back and possibly get up there and race for the win. But, you know, he's been really competitive here in the first few races of this season, and I would not be surprised to see him fight for exactly that. So this race, as I mentioned, going on here as Strid now makes his move to come into the pits and drop so fast we can't even get the camera on him. There we go. It's Strid into the pits safely in his Jimmy Johnson number 48 car. And like I was saying originally with Jimmy Johnson, it's been interesting to watch him. Not really so much the story of David Strid. Strid has been very fast here in the league, but you know, Strid, I think if we could ever actually get a chance to talk to the guy, because he's very shy and does not like to go on interviews. But if we could ever get a chance to talk to David Strid, I'm sure he'd be the first one to tell you that he's got all kinds of stuff that he'd like to work on in his racecraft. And, you know, that was Jimmy Johnson's first season for certain in IndyCar, was just having to work on that. But in the meantime, we've got a heck of a battle happening here for second place. Seems like Strid dropped out of the picture, and that opened Pandora's box. So Bowles and Simpson now battling it out over second place, and possibly soon to be first if anybody can get a good enough run out of this pack. It looks like we're still on the first lap of the race, but in fact we're not. We're 75 into this one. Bunyan and Simpson and Bowles, your top three. And if I told you only one of those drivers had a race win, you might be surprised this season. You might be surprised to find out that was Ryan Bowles. So this season, looking to see whether or not we can continue to get some new faces up there in winner's circle. And it would be great to see Matty Simpson be able to take a victory here. But as you saw there, we had, in fact, Jimmy Drennan dropping off of the pace. And still continues to do so. I'm not sure what's happening to Drennan, as he's now going much, much slower. He dropped right out of third. So we're going to go back and take a look at this. This was moments ago. This was Drennan on board. There's Matty Simpson on that high side. Drennan gets down onto the apron, and that causes an issue. There you go. So it gets into the apron in the corner, and there he's doing it again. I'm not sure why choosing to go quite so slow at that point. But perhaps having some electronics issues or something. But we go back up to the front. And it is, in fact, Graham Bunyan who leads still over Ryan Bowles and Matty Simpson. And here comes Bunyan in for his stop. He doesn't get run over, but just barely. Does he make it into the pits? He does. Uses up a little bit of extra real estate. But the four-time consecutive champ brings it down pit lane. Making his way down towards the number 101 pits, all the way at the front. They come out now on Graham's screen, and again, it's just so unfortunate that we don't get this animation on iRacing, but on Graham's screen, he can actually see all of the pit crew members come around the car and service it, put the tires on, and he's got a lollipop man out there in front who tells him to go, and it's quite a cool animation, but like I said, unfortunately, we don't get to see that on whenever you watch it from a third party. But for those of you who are iRacers and haven't been through that experience, it is a nice little treat. And just part of really where the realism of this whole thing is going. I mean, pause for a second. Why, I guess there's not four wide racing here. We watch Matty Simpson in the lead and collect a bonus point. Will Stearns back there from his crash ahead of Ryan Bowles and able to hold on to second place momentarily. Now he is on the same pit strategy as everyone else, just off by, I think, one lap, coming in on lap 48, others on 49. So here he comes down, and there's no way he's going to make the pits. Stearns, very late entry, but I can tell what happened. He had Bowles right on his rear, and I don't think Bowles got a chance to hear from that, or to hear that call coming out from Stearns. And I think that was just discretion, as Stearns did not want to get rear-ended there on the track, as he had done to Strid earlier. So now we've got a couple of other drivers coming in. This is Matty Simpson and Joe Brickey making their way into the pits. This very likely is their last stop if it were to go. No, I don't think so, actually. I take it back. They can only go about 40 laps or so. So they will need to I think they'll need a little bit more than this, but we'll see. Maybe with the yellow flags that will pan out. In the meantime, you can see Stefan Harding did get in front of who is the leader, but now taking that back is Jason Lowe. So Harding working so hard to try to get that lap back, or one of his 2 laps back, but Lowe saying, no thanks, I'd rather lead. So now we watch to see how this is all going to shake out in terms of the pit stop cycle. Lowe not coming in this time, but I believe that we did see Stefan Harding. Yes, we did. There is Harding into the pits, 51-year-old from Melbourne. So great to have him leading, my goodness, 4 drivers in this field from the great country of Australia. And, I'd have to say, let me just do this count real quick here, and I'll get back to another point in a minute as we see Lowe, Bowles, and Lovison now pulling it into the pits. Lovison just about to pull out of the pits from his stop. We'll go to the leader, Dan Ensch. But right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of 18 drivers in this field today are not from the United States. So that just tells you how quickly this league is growing and gaining lots of great support from international drivers, which is just so great to see. League's been around for quite a long time, but I'd love to think that us being here on VirtualRacing.Network is bringing some of that. And we do have a yellow flag, though I am not sure who it's for. We're going to try to figure that one out. I do not see anybody necessarily stopped on track. Just going to cycle here through the group, but I don't see anybody. I do see that Mr. Kelbaugh is in the pits, but yeah, I don't know. Tough to tell. Tough to tell. We'll have to see if we can tell where this happens. And I'm not sure if Hart coming into the pits was part of it. Just trying to take a look around and see if we can figure out who was the cause of it. We didn't have any sort of notes as far as anybody stopping on track. Sorry to just keep flashing it around, but unfortunately we don't really have any other way to tell. Now this did happen just moments ago while we were searching around. Looks like Maddie Simpson may be having a little bit of trouble getting into the pits. Oh, there, as they were slowing down. Let's see if we can tell what just happened, but I believe it was maybe... we'll save that here. But you can see coming up on the high side, not seeing that Maddie Simpson had slowed quite so much. One of the Black Tiger Racing machines having an incident there, and I believe that was Joe Bricky. So Bricky on the high side, it comes up so fast. So let's go ahead and back that up so you can see just how fast this kind of thing happens, and we'll get to the right camera so you can see how fast it is from his point of view. From this yellow flag when it came out. Just watch this in real time. I'm going to back this up. Now imagine you're just getting the call that the yellow flag has come out. Come down to the low side. Yellow flags come out. Okay. There's a car down low. So that must have been the reason for the caution. Okay, there's the yellow flag right there. So we start slowing down just a little bit, making our way around through turn 3 and turn 4 here onto the start-finish straight. Still riding with Bricky, and we're going to catch up to the back of the pack here very, very shortly. I'm just going to leave it play so you can see how fast this kind of thing happens, because this catches a lot of drivers out very quickly. Now you can see, okay, so there's one driver going slowly, and then look at everybody just slam on the brakes. I mean, these cars up in front still going, decent speed, similar to the pace car, and it's just because it just gets stacked up. And this happens so much in official racing. It's so easy to do. I've been the leader in this situation and almost stack it up behind lap cars. You're in second place. And there's other ways that this gets even worse, where if you get the wave around as a lap car, you also have to do this very fast, wave around the pace car and then catch up to the back of the field. And, you're going as fast as you can. You accelerate as fast as you can to get around the whole track to get up to the back end of the lead group. And so very frequently you've got to really slam on your brakes, especially if maybe you're the fourth or fifth car in line and it takes a while for everybody to get going. You absolutely are going as fast as you can until you have to slam on the brakes and really pack up behind everybody for the restart. So caught out Joe Bricky here, and those are the types of mistakes that are the difference. If you look at a driver like Jason Lowe, who a couple of seasons ago, he had a couple of wins, a lot of podium finishes, but ended up third in the points, actually. And it was just due to some of these incidents, just maybe not calculating a pit stop right, as we saw Strid and Stearns do. Stearns was having a great day. He still is having a great day. Although now he's being shown a lap down, so I'm not sure that that's going to hold up for him. But we'll find out about that, because it's possible that I think others have just pitted before him. So we'll see how that all shakes out. Mike West currently shown in the lead, and that is completely legit, because Mike pitted last on lap 90, and here we go. He's going to lead us back to the green flag. We are back underway here at Chicagoland with Mike West of Yakima, Washington in the lead over Jimmy Drennan in second and Dan Ensch in third. Some craziness happening here with the pit stop cycles and allowing some of these drivers to get a little off strategy. And now I'm showing that all of these drivers in between are stuck a lap down. So Dan Ensch is actually in third, but about the sixth car in the pack. Now working his way under Will Stearns. But Ensch is effectively in third place, though I think the sixth car out there in that group. So you've got Jimmy Drennan here, shown in this black car. And once again, Jimmy, that's the default paint scheme. Just let us know you've changed to a non-copyright policy paint scheme. We'd be glad to put your trading paint scheme back up there. And on the outside of Jimmy Drennan, that's Matty Simpson for Factory Setups, trying to get by and get that lap back. And Jimmy is not going to let him. Jimmy knows this game. He knows how to play this lap back game, and he will not give Matty Simpson that lap back. He will not give him that clean air. David Strid, though, legitimately in second, and he's running third on the track. On the outside of him is Matty Simpson trying to get that lap back. Strid pushing on the inside, trying to make it a three-way battle here. And you can see on the outside there, that I believe is Jason Lowe. No, I can't. Is that Lowe? That is in fact Lowe. Paint scheme's hard to see at night with the chromium on the outside. There goes Strid to the outside. He tried so quickly to get around the outside of Jimmy Drennan. Tried a quick cut out move to the outside, and it did not quite pay off for him. There he goes again to the outside, trying to work that high line with just under 30 laps remaining here at Chicago. We're packed up again, and we have no idea who's going to win in this race, as Jimmy Drennan and David Strid are now battling for position at the front, but Jason Lowe and Matty Simpson are in between trying to get their laps back, and they know how crucial this is to be in front. Now, this is the difference. If Jason Lowe and Matty Simpson are ahead of the effective leader of the race and a yellow comes out, they already have their lap back. they can come right around and form up with the group. If they don't, they will have to wait for a wave around, and that means they will need Jimmy Drennan to pull into the pits before they can get their wave around, and that will also cause them to have to go to the back of the pack when they get their wave around. So a lot at stake here for these two drivers. Matty Simpson in the red and white car in second place effectively on the track, and Jason Lowe in that chrome machine there. Both of these drivers have been up in the front, and so naturally somebody like Jimmy Drennan and other competitors up in the front, they don't want to see Jason Lowe, three-time consecutive champion, already a race winner last race. They don't want to see them get up there into the front. They don't want to see Jason Lowe get that lap back and be able to challenge for first. So Jimmy continuing to lead here, getting that bonus point for leading a lap and trying to hang on to control of this race. From on board looking back, you can see a wild white and red car, factory setups. Number 28 there, 48 for Strid. A little bit further back, Strid. And of course that number 3 car, though it says number 28 on the livery, for Simpson. Actually, it does say number 3. I'm looking at the wrong number. There we go. There, I've got too many numbers to look at. The number 3 there for Matty Simpson on the high side. And as I said, it was so familiar to see Simpson in that yellow submarine Pennzoil paint scheme for so long. But of course, we can't show that on the air, so it's cool that he took on one that he can promote. And again, Matty, if you're listening after the broadcast and you are part of that team, let us know so we can get you some proper recognition during the broadcast. But Jimmy Drennan and Joe Brickey there, now first and second, with Lowe kind of moving up there, but we've also seen David Strid now move back to 4th place as Ryan Bowles has moved up into 3rd. So Bowles, I think maybe Strid is, if I'm guessing, because now I'm wondering why Strid would start dropping back. I'm thinking perhaps he and Graham Bunyan, who's sitting in mid-pack right now, they might be really working on that fuel mileage and trying to make sure that they have enough to make it to the end. There comes Strid. Is he coming down into the pits? Indeed he is. So that was, in fact, he knew he wouldn't be able to make it. So now he is undercutting everybody with his pit stop strategy. Will it pay off? Tough to say. But that's why we race. So we'll find out here soon. Jimmy Drennan, Joe Brickey, and Mike West. Your top 3, Ryan Bowles, Iñigo Mardones, make up the top 5. And I guarantee you, if you had taken a poll ahead of time, you would not have ended up with that top 5 with just 20 laps to go. But nevertheless, brand new faces at the front of the US IndyCar League here in round 3 at Chicagoland. So Brickey up on the high side, having to defend. Also trying to keep Jason Lowe, who's trying to get that lap back, pinched down to the inside. There you can see Ryan Bowles and Joe Brickey fighting it out for that 3rd spot. Bowles conceding absolutely nothing. Fighting it out for the 2nd spot. Excuse me, I keep getting confused with the lap cars being in the middle of this. But indeed, Jason Lowe right in the middle. This from onboard Bowles machine, the number 25 Dallara IR-18 IndyCar. We should start calling these the IR-21s. Seems like each year they change quite substantially. But there, Brickey able to kind of hold off Bowles and hold on to that 2nd place. Again, Jason Lowe just up in that mix in the chrome machine. trying to get that lap back, but not in second place. So the battle happening between Joe Bricky and now Iñigo Mardones coming up into this mix as well. But now mark Iñigo Mardones part of this conversation for podium positions as he marches up into the third spot, right around the outside of Ryan Bowles. So this is quickly becoming a who's who at the front of this pack. We talked about where do you want to be at the end of this one. Well, we know where the winners are at. Ryan Bowles and Jason Lowe at the front as they work underneath Stefan Harding, who's up into the wall. Harding trying to move out of the way for the lap cars, or for the oncoming cars that are a lap up, but unfortunately having to take evasive action there. But nevertheless, Jimmy Drennan leads us here over Jason Lowe, who is a lap down, but has won, is current leader in this championship, and is racing with a temporary strap on his VR headset. So he could blink out at any moment. We don't know, but Lowe still trying to make it a race. Then just behind Drennan and Lowe, it is Bricky and Bowles. Bricky in the bright red, white, and black machine there for racing for Black Tiger Racing. Doing that team proud. He's currently holding on to that second spot. But as I mentioned, there's Ryan Bowles in the red and black, darker colored red machine. I compared it to Robert Wicken's livery as we raced at Pocono. Kind of similar. But either way, any good way that we can work Robbie Wickens into it. You know, Robbie does a lot of iRacing as well. He's very, very talented. And also this season, Robbie going out there and getting a win in IMSA as well. And so, I don't know, maybe some of that juju coming back. Robbie is super successful. But Joe Bricky making a pit stop here. So last time he was in, I guess he did not have the right amount of fuel to make it to the end, so that would be why Bricky was up there fighting for position. So now that is going to leave it to Drennan, Bowles, Mardones, and Ensch. And a lot of these drivers stopping, you know, Bowles stopped on lap 86, Mardones stopped on lap 83. They won't be able to make it if Bricky can't make it. And Jimmy Drennan stopping on lap 89. Now the last driver to stop, would you believe it? I know. The last driver to stop, the latest driver to stop is none other than Dan Ensch. Now, we talk about this guy every single time out and say how much of a fuel savings master he is. Is this one going to turn into a fuel savings race? He's currently in third spot. Will he have the car to make it to the end and possibly end up in that podium position or up there in victory lane at Chicagoland? Currently, we have Iñigo Mardones making his pit stop. Mauro Ramirez just behind him into the pits. And Graham Bunyan, your four-time consecutive champion, he's not able to make it on fuel either. Just 8 laps remaining here. Who will have it and who doesn't? Who's going to have to pit? We will find out. Just 7 to go this time by at Chicagoland, round number 3 of 12 for the US IndyCar League. We watch intensely as now Iñigo Mardones, Mauro Ramirez come back out onto the track. We'll put the track map up there so you can follow your favorite drivers along and see where they're at. But Drennan and Ensch now just inches away. Ensch now on the backside of Drennan, and he goes to the high side. This is as racy of a race as we've seen from Dan Ensch. Now he feels like maybe he has the fuel to make it to the end. And he's looking to see whether or not he can take Jimmy Drennan. He's perhaps sizing him up to see whether Jimmy's in a fuel coasting mode or not. Maybe he's leaned it out a little bit. Might be a good opportunity to make that pass and get it done and try and defend if you're Dan Ensch. Ensch has all the tricks in the bag. I mean, if there is a wily old veteran in this field, it's Dan. He's been racing in iRacing for quite a while. He's won quite a few races. More than anything, he knows his fuel strategy game in and out. He knows how to hit those numbers. He knows how to work that fuel adjustment knob like he's playing a fiddle. And in the meantime, we've got also Mike West up there. Jimmy Drennan does decide to pit. He can't make it, and that's going to be way too fast entering the pits. There will likely be a speeding penalty associated. Ryan Bowles making his pit stop. He will emerge back out. Does Dan Ensch have the fuel to make it? Mike West as well. I know this was not that long ago. I can't remember if it was at this track, but a similar track, and we had these two who were in position to win based on fuel strategy, and Dan Ensch was not able to take victory that day. He lost it at the line, and do you know who he lost it to? It was none other than Mike West, who came through and took victory for the first time here on VirtualRacing.Network. That was so long ago, so many seasons ago, but it could emerge and happen again here today. Wouldn't that be something? I think Dan Ensch, though, is fighting. He's got that white flag. He's not going to give up. He's got his right foot to the floor, but there's Mike West now coming around the outside of Jason Lowe, the lap car. Will Mike West have anything to say about this before it's all over? He can see first place in his sights, but Dan Ensch has got that purple and white machine for the ALZ.org, Alzheimer's Association, out in front, and it is Dan Ensch, the fuel-saving master, who wins here at Chicagoland. Well, I do have to say, this one has been a long time in the making. For those of you who have been watching the US IndyCar League, since we started covering this league, we've been talking about it. We knew the day would come when the fuel-saving master would put his talents on display, and you just saw it happen. Dan Ensch racing for the Alzheimer's Association, trying to end awareness trying to end Alzheimer's by bringing awareness to the Alzheimer's Association and their cause, racing with Last Lap Motorsports. Does it today in style and absolutely shows why he is the master of fuel savings in the US IndyCar League, taking victory here for the first time on VirtualRacing.Network. So let's go ahead and get the final results from today's race up there for you. And up there on the screen, you'll have it in just one moment as we take a look at the final running order from today's race. You saw it right here. He wasn't in front for very long, just the last few laps, but Dan Ensch emerges as your winner. And we'll have a chance to talk with him, as well as hopefully Mike West and Dominic Hart here in just a moment. We make our way over into Victory Circle and the US IndyCar League interview corral, as it is known. So momentarily we'll get a chance to talk with them, but we'll go through the rest of the running order here for you. Dan Ensch taking victory, and Mike West coming through for second place. We kind of highlighted him and the fact that he was doing so well in today's race, thinking that he might have something for today, but in fact he had something. He had fuel up his sleeve, was able to deploy that at the right time and hang on for second place. He'll march up into the points. Dominic Hart, he's fast anytime out of the gate, but he kept it clean today. That was the key. No cold tire spins, no weight jacker being too high, none of that kind of stuff. Hart hanging on to third place, final podium position, and he too will march up the order. Now, how about that fourth place? We didn't even get a chance to talk about it, but Manuel Gomez Esteban, the Spaniard, we've talked about his capability of hanging on to that car and doing well in this series. hanging on and getting 4th place, a top 5 for a series regular who comes out every week and frequently shows that kind of speed to be up there in that top 5, getting a great result here in 4th place. And once again, all 4 of these drivers really going to be making some headway in the points. Dan Ensch, most of all, we might very well see him march up into 3rd or 2nd in the points by the time this is all done. And of course, Jason Lowe taking 5th there. Again, we'll have to talk to him at some point, either today or in the future, but this is going to be another one of those races where I think Lowe's going to look at it as like, phew, I just got out of that one with the VR headset problem that he had at the beginning and having to drop back and all of the other issues. Just to take a top 5, he very well may hang on to the points lead at the end of this one. And that just goes to show you why you got to keep your head down and stay focused the entire race. So we do have a chance to talk with some of our podium finishers. So as typical fashion, we're going to start with our 3rd place finisher, and that would be Dominic Hart. So, Dominic, do you have me there, buddy?
Yep, I'm here, Trevor.
I got you loud and clear. Dominic, what a heck of a race today. We saw you right up there in the front, but you weren't really fighting 1st and 2nd. You were playing for 3rd most of the race. You ended up in 3rd. You did gain a couple of spots from where you started. Talk us through kind of how today went, and are you happy with 3rd?
Well, to answer the last bit, yeah, I mean, after my last races, yep, I'm happy to get 3rd because I haven't had a good start to this season so far. But yeah, the race, it was just a sit and wait really for most of that. We'd already just talked amongst ourselves and we knew it was going to be a pack race. There wasn't a lot you could do otherwise. Nobody was going to stretch it out in front. So it was just about sitting there really. Some people wanted to try and get to the front and I was happy to let them early on and yeah, just sit and wait, and it all played out really. I was surprised when I looked and thought, hang on, people are pitting nearer the end, and I was all of a sudden in 3rd place. Tried to give Mike a bit of a run at the end there on the last corner, but yeah, it was about as much as I could do at that stage.
Absolutely. I think Mike had a bit between his teeth looking at that purple car and what stood between him and getting that race win. But Dominic, you've tasted a win here in the past. As you said, you're kind of happy to just sort of look up there at the end and see yourself in 3rd. But you put yourself there by really being in the right fuel strategy. How did fuel strategy work out today? Did you feel like the cautions worked in your favor for that fuel strategy, or did you feel like that was a problem for you and you had to kind of keep resetting yourself? Did you have to do anything crazy, like go to fuel map 5 or 8 or anything like that?
Apart from the last 2 laps, I was in fuel map 5 for the whole race. I was in 6th gear and just sitting there running nice and easy. Had to be careful because if you're on the very bottom line of this track, the car wanted to drift up a bit. So with the speeds we're doing and possible net code, I had to lift off a few times just to make sure I didn't hit anybody, but sort of that allowed people past me, but as I say, I wasn't really that bothered at that stage. But yeah, it was just a fuel race the whole time. I don't know if the others guys will say the same. I'm pretty sure they probably will. But no, the yellows played out fine. There were no issues there. So yeah, well, I think it was a 2nd yellow. I was about to pit when that yellow came out, so but it all worked out all right.
Well, you gave it a heck of a run today, and fortunately you didn't get caught up in any of those incidents or little silly things that can take you out of having a great run, and you did manage to hang on for 3rd. So like you said, sometimes it's not a totally satisfying end to the race, but you look up at the end and there's your name up there in the podium, and you get to go higher in the points. Anybody you have that you'd like to give a shout out to for today's race before we move on?
Just obviously congrats to Dan for the 1st and Mike for the 2nd, Manuel on an excellent 4th there. And obviously the sponsors for the race, and of course yourself for the YouTube televised thing.
Thank you so much. We have fun doing it. You guys sure make it exciting, that is for sure. I'd love to come out there and race you guys sometime, but it's a little bit more fun to be up here in the booth and just get to put all this stuff together. But hey, thank you so much, Dominic, for joining us. And you're always somebody we circle at the beginning of the race as a potential race victory. Maybe next race we'll see you there, buddy.
Hopefully, and thanks. I'll see you again.
All right. So that is Dominic Hart stopping in from third place. A very quiet, very calm man, but nevertheless, he held on in the midst of chaos and lots of cars moving around him, but still stuck on in that green and white machine to get third. It's got some different sponsors on it, but it kind of looks like Colton Herta's paint job from this year a little bit. Just get that little green feeling. And myself, I race with green. My name's Greenfield, so, I'll always look for that green car in the field. So we're going to move on to our second place finisher, Mike West. Unfortunately, I guess we're not going to get a chance to chat with Mike. He's probably busy over there at Yakima getting off to Sunday activities. So we can get over to, I guess we could talk to him. This guy, Dan Ensch, he's only been waiting, I don't know how many, it's been years for us. We've been talking about getting you into Victory Circle and to do this interview. Dan Ensch, congratulations. You got the owls.org Last Lap Motorsports machine, the number 52, the pride of Indiana, up there into Victory Circle. How does it feel to be a race winner now in the US IndyCar League?
Boy, I'll tell you what, I know it's just a video simulation, but I'm still shaking like a leaf right now. Man, this feels great. I've waited so long to get that Alzheimer's Association colors in the finish circle, and we finally did it. Man, these guys are so good. And everything went perfect today. I don't think I've ever driven a more perfect race. The fuel strategies all played out perfectly. Man, I knew exactly when to kick it in the butt toward the end there and not run out of fuel. And I cut it so close that I couldn't even do a donut. But everything just went absolutely perfect with that Last Lap Motorsports machine. And I'm tickled pink right now.
I bet you are. And of course, you did it in Dan Ensch style. Now, this hasn't worked out for you over the seasons necessarily. Sometimes it's like you get these long green flag runs, but then there's just one caution. It throws off your whole fuel saving strategy. What were you doing on fuel strategy today to make it work? How did it work differently? Was it just that the cautions fell in your favor? And then finally, at what point did you know I am in the seat? I've got other people pitting around me. Like, when did you know you might be sitting in the right place to take victory?
Right at 10 laps to go. I got it all figured out, and right at 10 laps to go, I knew who was going to be dropping out early if it didn't go yellow. And I knew who I could go full bore against, and I kicked it in the seat, and it went, man. She just went, and oh, man, it was a great feeling. I'll tell you, I love moving through traffic like that. It's been a long time.
I saw you cutting through traffic. And we also saw, Strid and Bunyan starting to drop back. And I was thinking at that point, okay, they know the fuel numbers. So they may be trying to emergency save fuel. They may not be able to make it. And of course, they had to stop. I saw you starting to come forward. And especially as it started to come up towards 5 laps to go, I'm seeing you up there challenging for third and second. And I'm saying he wouldn't be doing this if he knew the fuel numbers he wasn't going to make it. But either way, in the past, they've said you should just go for it and just go to win and go as hard as you can. But you've stuck with this fuel saving strategy. Today, it pays off. Any other final words today or any other shout outs that you want to give?
No, and then actually the fuel strategy was a no-brainer today. As long as you can keep up with the lead pack through most of the race, the fuel strategy will at least give you an opportunity to pit last or close to the end of the cycle and let everybody else have problems. And that's exactly what happened today. But as far as the last stint is concerned, I'm glad I decided to go in and top it off. I actually came out in better shape than I thought I would when I topped it off. And it all just worked right today. And I'm happy.
I bet you are. And the spraying of, apple champagne or whatever you're going to be doing today to celebrate. Love to hear that.
No. We're going for the ultralight, man.
All right. You're going for it. You're doing the ultralight today. Well, go for it. Enjoy it. I hope you do enjoy Victory Celebration and get to party with all your friends and family, of course. And looking forward next week, Dan, if you can just keep this up just one more week, it's going to be the Alzheimer's Association race next week at Iowa, one of your very favorite tracks. how great is it going to be able to bring some more awareness to Alzheimer's Association?
Well, and that's the main goal, and yeah, it's going to be our week next week to get that word out, and that's more important than wins and losses in iRacing territory, but we're going to give it our best shot, and hopefully things will work out there. But I also wanted to thank Stick Quick before I forget about it, and for bringing this league to us, and all the international flavor and all the entries today. Man, we're looking like a good league right now. Great driving, very few yellows in a tough situation. And these guys are fun to race with.
You bet. Absolutely great, and great words that you say. And great to have you in the field, Dan. You're one of our regulars. We talk about you every week with that field strategy in your hip pocket, and you showed it today. Awesome win. Congratulations. And I know you'll get more podiums, etc., but I hope this is the first win of many for you here, bud.
Me too.
So
thanks, Trevor, for everything you do too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So that is Dan Ensch. He's off to celebrate the ultra lightweight today, and definitely I know for sure for him, thanking God and enjoying this blessing of life that we have here to get out here and do this iRacing thing is all part of the show and all part of being like he was talking about. This is a great group out here. The main target is to just have great racing on Sundays and let everybody kind of fulfill their dreams to be a real life IndyCar driver for even just a few hours. So if that sounds like you, hey, just click down on the description. There's a link there. If you're part of iRacing already, you can go over to the members page for the US IndyCar League and go ahead and sign up. And Jason Lowe is the admin over there. Be glad to talk with you, get you set up, get you out for the Saturday practice. Always more room. You can join at any point in the season, and it is free of cost. Just some basic license and some other rules just to make sure everybody is competent and capable to get out there. As you saw, next week we will be at Iowa Speedway, a great racetrack for these Indy cars. Make sure you tune in, same time, same channel, Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Just why be anywhere else? Be right here. Of course, for those of you watching the Formula One race a little bit later on today, or doing whatever you're doing, that's great. And to all of the fathers out there, I forgot to wish everybody a happy Father's Day, but happy Father's Day to all of you. And I hope you and your father and everyone else in your family have a wonderful rest of the Sunday. See you guys next week, same place. Until then, have a great one. Bye-bye, everybody.